What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. So, as mentioned, right, are people fleeing this New York Jets organization? So, to kick things off, we have our director of player personnel, Chad Alexander. He's being hired by the Chargers, right? So, first off, kudos to him. You guys know what I look like. Obviously, I am proud to see one of our minorities, fellow black men, get a opportunity, no matter how it comes about. But he's definitely earned it, right? You take a look at his background. He's been with the Jets for the last 5 years in this director of player personnel position. Prior to that, I believe he's had over 20 years of experience with the Ravens. And so he is getting a promotion, right? He's going to the Chargers as an assistant general manager under new GM. I believe the name was Joel Ortiz. Obviously having connections to that Harbaugh kind of restructure that's going on over there. Also will kind of help boost the initial outlook of anything that happens. But it's definitely a prime opportunity for him, right? Surface level, when I originally heard this news, I thought this is very problematic, right? We have Rex Hogan, the guy who oversaw our pro and basically college scouting department, and now you have Chad Alexander fleeing right behind him. But that doesn't actually turn out to be the case in this instance. If anything, I would say this is actually kind of a win-win move for both of these guys, although we will definitely talk about the negative for the Jets as a whole. It's a smart hire by Jim Harbaugh. This is a guy that's been considered a rising GM candidate. And of course, the cherry on top for him in terms of recency bias has been the Sauce Gardner draft class, which he would have had a huge hand in building the fingerprint for. And so with that said, I will say, since he's been with Joe Douglas, right, a lot of us may not have we may not have hit on as many of these players drafted as we expected to, right? But in large part, these draft classes have been better under Joe Douglas compared to his predecessors. And so there's a huge bit of credit that needs to be sprinkled there to everybody involved. But with that said, now we have two guys that were in pivotal positions that are now gone from the New York Jets, right? And so my immediate thought is that we should be mostly turning our attention to these day three guys, seeing as how we only have 2 picks in the first 3 rounds. Not unusual at this point, right after you get to, about the year 4, year 5 mark. GMs are a little bit more willing to will and deal out there, right? But it's definitely been the least amount of selections since Joe Douglas has arrived, where he ended up building up, a pretty good war chest. So I would assume day 3 should be an emphasis, but now my questions would be, what kind of players are going to be falling through these cracks that maybe we would have initially picked up on, right? And so it sucks. I expect that we probably won't hear about any significant movements in terms of guys that we're hiring to replace these guys initially. Internal guys are probably going to replace them and step up, right? Because there's only so much Joe Douglas can do to replace the work that both of these men were doing for this franchise. But there is a bit of positive lining here. Now, as part of the minority movement that the NFL has going on, where they want to try to get these guys in positions of significance, right? Head coaching spots, front office changes. This should reward the Jets with 2 third-round picks, one in 2025, one in 2026, if this is included as part of that initiative. And as far as I know, again, surface level wise, all that needs to happen is for a minority to get a head coaching position or a promotion in the front office field of work in order for that to apply. So I would assume we'll get some kind of confirmation on that shortly. But that's excellent for the Jets, right? Especially considering this particular draft, where we would feel a lot better if we had a round 2 selection. Quite a bit of talent we're going to be missing out on between rounds 1 until we pick again in round 3, and it's making us consider moves that I believe we wouldn't necessarily pounce on otherwise, right? Trading Bryce Huff for round 2, heard DJ Reed's name thrown out there as a candidate to be traded, for a high pick as well. We tossed out some crazy ones, right, like Sauce Gardner. So who knows how that ultimately pans out. But there's some good, there's some bad. Ultimately, I think the biggest impact is that you are taking a guy that again is on the rise. Could have really helped solidify day 3 selections. I mean, you think about Rex Hogan. I know he has significant connections to BYU. I'm not sure if there is any other schools. I know we're not talking about, a Florida or a Alabama here, but Chad Alexander would have had his connections too. And so it's a rough blow, especially being so close to the draft. But it is what it is, right? The New York Jets, we will have to figure this out like big boys as always. But let me know what you guys ultimately think about this move. I am excited to see him go to that rebuilt Harbaugh staff, both front office and coaching wise over there. So it should be great recognition, a good positive step forward for him in his next journey. But again, yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you again. Peace.